What's up, guys? Higgins in Japan here with another edition of the Friday video. The Friday video is the video that I make right here in my car on a Friday on the way home from work. And holy cow, it's actually Friday. It is very good for it to be Friday. A little tired. Probably gonna go home and relax and enjoy the weekend. I'm gonna sneeze first. Goodness, excuse me. Gesundheit. Some random person just standing in that parking lot. It's kind of weird, kind of creepy. But hey, it's Friday, and I'm driving home from work because I just finished work. As you can tell, the roads are a bit damp. It was raining pretty much all day today, and I figured by the time that I got in my car to drive home from work, you guys would be getting a little bit of a little rain action here in Japan. But I guess that's not the way it's going to work out today, but that's all right. Yeah, so I didn't post a video last week. I don't think I did. I got a tickle on my nose. See, that's the problem with wearing these masks, is like, these masks are great. Which, by the way, the lady that in my school, she re-sewed both of mine that she made for me, because there's like an inner layer and an outer layer, and they weren't sewn together, so whenever you would breathe in, that inner layer would like suck up against your face. So I guess some of the teachers at my school complained about it. Not really complained about it, but just were like, hey, just so you know, the like inner layer sticks to my face whenever I breathe in. And so she like did a recall on all of her masks, and then she washed mine for me because she said it was dirty, and then she re-sewed the inside of it, so it's like you can't see it on here, but it's sewn in a way that now when you breathe, the inner lighter layer doesn't like touch your face, which is nice, which is great, which is very helpful for those of us that breathe, like myself. So yeah, it's been quite the interesting couple of weeks, because as you know, that I've changed schools, and you know, the whole corona thing, and school being delayed, and you know, missing, you know, almost a month and a half, 2 months of school. So things are starting to slowly but surely get back into the like pace of things, or get back into the normal kind of schedule of things, where you're like, okay, this is what I need to do on this day. I know, like, I can get back into my schedule a little bit easier. But it's still kind of weird, because it's the teachers said, you know, oh, well, we can't do any group activities. Okay? We can't do any speaking activities. Okay? And we can't sing any songs. Okay? And the students all have to be like 2 meters apart from each other. Okay? But go ahead and plan speaking activities for the students, which has been quite the adventure. But then when I get into class, nothing has changed. Like, I've seen pictures on the internet of people going like, oh, look at this school in Tokyo. All the students sit 20 feet apart from each other and have plastic shields that, look how advanced. Like, we got 35 kids crammed into the same small classroom. The desks are a foot and a half apart from each other, if that. The kids are wearing masks, or supposed to be. And the teacher I worked with was like, yeah, get up and greet each other. And I'm like, what? How is that going to work? They're not supposed to be talking to each other. So apparently that's okay. You can like get up and walk around the classroom and talk to each other. And then at my junior high, I was like, well, I could do this activity with them, but it's better if it's done in a group form. And they're like, oh, that's fine. Just do it in groups. Like, wait, I thought we weren't allowed to do groups. Well, if we space their desks like half a foot apart from each other, then it's okay. Like, it doesn't make any sense. But you know what I'm going to do? I'm going to do it anyways. Because that's my job as an ALT, is to do what I'm told to do by the JTE, the Japanese teacher of English at my school. If they tell me to jump, I'm going to be like, yo, I'm old. I ain't going to get that high off the ground, but I'll jump. If they tell me to make a worksheet that has improper English on it, I'm going to correct it and tell them it doesn't work that way. But as an ALT, you kind of don't get that real opportunity to tell people what to do. You're not afforded that opportunity because you are outpaid, you are out-degreed, you are out-licensed, you are an assistant language teacher. You are an assistant to the district manager. No, you're an assistant to someone else. And I think sometimes, and I've, definitely fallen into this trap, because sometimes the teachers will say, go teach the class, right? You prepare the lesson, you prepare the material, you prepare everything. I'm going to stand in the back and try not to fall asleep, right? But where I live now, it's team teaching. And a lot of times that either means that they're going to have you prepare materials beforehand to use in class and maybe not use you that much in class, or that means that you might have some conversation in class, you might have some back and forth, you might have something that they want you to share in class, or they might not use you that much at all, to be honest. And so you have to, and I've said this 18 million times, so you have to be flexible as an ALT, especially when your JTE might not be doing the best. That's not really the word I'm looking for. When maybe you don't agree with how a lesson should be taught. Now, granted, yes, you are the quote-unquote professional English speaker of the school. You are there to make sure that the students learn proper techniques and proper ways to say things and proper phrases and all that good stuff. But occasionally, you got to take a back seat to some of that stuff. Now, that doesn't mean you don't correct things that need to be corrected. I think I've told this story before. At one of my older junior highs that I worked at years ago, I had a teacher stop the class, and he was explaining a phrase, and he looked at me and said, "Hey, is this the right way to say this?" And I said, "Yeah, it's the right way to say it. It's the most grammatically correct. It's the most structurally sound way to say it, but it's not the most casual way to say it. It's not the most natural way to say it." And he said, "Well, could you teach us the natural way to say, whatever the phrase was?" I said, "Sure." So I stood up in front of the class and I taught the students how to say it the natural way, and he had them write it in their notebook. This is how you say it the natural way. And then he turned around and said, "But when it comes to the test, this is what's going to be on the standardized test. This version of it, not Andrew's version of it." So, you have to, especially in junior high, you have to watch the way that you word and phrase things, on worksheets or stuff like that, because the students are going to use that, and if they memorize your version of it and it's not the version that's going to be on the standardized test, while the phrase might be correct, while everything they might be saying might be correct, if that's not the way it's worded on the test, then it's going to be wrong. Now, elementary school, you get a lot more leeway because nothing's tested, nothing's graded, nobody cares, and so you can do pretty much whatever you want. Now, it kind of goes the same way. Your JTE still is there to tell you what they want you to do. Somebody like me that wants to kind of do everything myself, for a while there, when I first started teaching, it took some time to get used to being like, yes, I will put my pride aside and do the things that you want me to do, right? And sometimes you got to do that. That doesn't mean you can't correct them or say like, hey, this is totally wrong. Like this sentence doesn't make sense. This is completely misspelled, or this is completely the wrong way to go about this. Like, it doesn't mean that. It just means sometimes they're going to want to teach. That's the other thing. They're the ones teaching the class as well, and you're assisting them in teaching the class. So sometimes they're going to want to teach class in a way that you don't teach, and so you just have to stand there and go, and yep, that's just the way, because that's just the way it is. Things will never be the same. No, the whole point I'm trying to get is that sometimes your JTE is going to do things differently than the way that you want them to be done. But at the end of the day, honestly, it's not your decision and it's not your choice, because you're an assistant language teacher. And like getting that into your head and understanding what that means, you're more likely you're paid less than they are, your degree's less than they are. They are actual licensed teachers. ALTs are not. And so at the end of the day, they're not your boss, but at the end of the day, they're calling the shots. And like I said, feel free to disagree. You know, I've had a million JTEs over the years that I've either gotten along with really well or have had issues with here and there, and they've always been small, meaningless little things. But you know, when I say stick up for yourself, stick up for like the English part of things, right? Like stick up for like correcting grammar or worksheets that have misspellings on them. Like don't go into like a class with a worksheet that's got misspelled words and stuff like that, because you want the kids to learn that stuff the correct way, so it gets into their head and it's concrete in the right way and not concrete in the wrong way. And so yeah, so I guess that what I'm trying to say in this long video, longer than usual, is that you might have to teach in a different way that you're not accustomed to. You might have to submit to the authority of those that are paid more than you are, that maybe know better than you or think they know better than you, but honestly that's not your decision. So I guess the sooner you figure that out, the easier it is to teach, the easier it becomes to plan things, the easier it becomes to get along with people. I can only assume. I'm not trying to like pat myself on the back, but like I'm pretty easygoing. I was supposed to have a meeting at 3:30 today, and it didn't start until like 4:15. I didn't care at all. Like honestly, it's no big deal to me. If I was like in the process of like trying to get somewhere or had something to do, or maybe I was like, you know, late or for something or whatever reason, I might have cared more, but it's Friday. I didn't care. Teachers are busy doing stuff. It's going to take me 10 seconds to tell them, like, hey, this is what we're doing next week. You guys got any questions? Cool. I'm going to make some photocopies and I'm going to head out. See ya. Like, that's literally what the meeting was. How the meeting was. I was like, y'all don't even have to sit down. Like, let's just stand around this table and talk about stuff. So, but that's going to do it. Just trying to get give you some friendly advice for those that want to be English teachers in Japan. Know that you might have to change up your style a little bit and change up maybe your personality or your attitude or your way of thinking might change. You never know. And if you have any questions or comments, head over to facebook.com/Higgins in Japan, or you can just leave them in the comment section below. That works as well. And I will get back to you, and I will comment, and I will question, and I will throw things at you. No, that last part's not true. I won't throw anything at you, I promise. So, that's going to do it. Have a good one, guys. And I'll catch you next time on another video, in another world, in another place, in another time.